Hi, this is Karen with Karen's Cards and More, and we're back for another stamp and share. And tonight we're going to make this card. This is featuring the Hydrangea Haven stamp set and the coordinating die that goes with that. So this is what we're going to do tonight. And so let's just jump right in and get started with it. Let's talk about what I use. Now in this card, the card base and the hydrangea here is in the Rococo Rose. That retired on the 3rd of May, so it's not in the new catalog. That was an in color that retired. And so tonight I'm going to make exactly the same card, but in case somebody wants to make it that can't get the Rococo Rose tonight, I'm going to make it with the Blushing Bride cardstock, and that way it'll just look a little different in color, but it's going to be the exact same card. And this will work for someone who didn't get the Rococo Rose cardstock. You can still make it, and so I'm going to show you how just changing the color doesn't change the card. So let's talk about what we need. The card base itself is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then we have a piece of the Designer Series paper, and this is out of the Hydrangea Hill Designer Series paper, and this is 5 1/4 by 4. We're going to have a piece of the basic white that is for the inside of the card. Let me bring the card back and show you the inside. So this piece is the same as the Designer Series paper piece, and it's 5 1/4 by 4. And so we're going to need that. Then I took a scrap of the basic white and I die cut the largest of the stitched circles. So we'll need that. And then I have a scrap of the basic white for us to do this hydrangea die cut with. So we have that. And then I already die cut this. This is just a scrap of the Blushing Bride that I used this die, ran it through with this die, and I'll show you the die that I used to do this. And I just ran that through, and I'll show you what we're going to do with this, okay? So let's start with our stamping. I'm going to go ahead and move this. And tonight, for my stamping, I am going to use the Stamparatus because I want to show what a good tool this is for your card making, your crafting, your scrapbooking. There's so many times that this is so helpful when you're working with the polymer stamps, which are the clear stamps like we're going to be working with tonight. This comes with the foam mat that you will need. So that just makes stamping all that much better. And I wanted to use this because I wanted to show those that might be just starting out in stamping. This is a pretty good way to make sure you get a good imprint. A lot of times if you stamp it the first time and it's not dark enough, there's no way to put that back in the exact same spot a second time unless you use a stamping tool. So I'm going to use the Stamparatus tonight and show how wonderful it is for that type of thing. So let me show you the stamp set. This is the Hydrangea Haven stamp set, and we're going to use several of the stamps from here, but there's also a coordinating hydrangea dies. This die is the one that I used to cut the Blushing Bride piece that we're going to be using. And also, if you noticed on the inside of the card, there were these little pink flowers. And the way I got those was I used this die cut strip, and it will cut 9 of those flowers. So you can run this through with one strip of paper and you get 9 flowers. So that's pretty cool. So that's what we're going to use tonight. Specifically, we're going to be using this one because I've already die cut that piece. If you have the kit, I would have sent you this piece, so it would already be die cut for you. So we're going to need this piece. And I'm going to keep my stamp set close because we're going to use a lot of the stamps from there. So let's start with the sentiment. And you just place your piece down that you're going to stamp on. And for this one, I'm just going to use one of the magnets because it's a relatively small piece of cardstock. And we want to stamp the sentiment. I appreciate all the little things you do. So if you notice, there are 2 sets of stamps in this set, and this is in, one is more solid, one is more outline. It's on the sheet with the outline, and it's at the side here, so we just want to pull that out. Now, let me tell you this about the polymer stamps. The first time you use them, I usually rub them on my skin just to, it helps you get a better imprint if they're unused. You could put some Versamark on there. That helps season them. But you can just take them across your skin a little bit too, and that'll help you get a better image. So what's neat about the Stamparatus is you can decide where you want it and move it around and see where would look best before you ever stamp it. So if you look at the finished card for the placement, that's pretty close. It's probably not going to be exactly, but that's pretty close. So we're going to put it where we want it. And then I'm just going to close the lid and push on that. And the stamp is going to stay on our lid. So we know that it's going to put it exactly where we want it because we already tested it and figured that out. So that's really cool way to get your stamp figured out. Now we're going to come in with the black Memento ink. And we're just going to put some ink on this. And the neat thing is, if you don't get it as dark as you want it on round 1, you can always restamp. So I'm going to move some things around so I can get a flat surface here. And then I'm just going to close the lid and press. And I think that it's just fine the way it is. If you wanted it a little darker, you could always re-ink. And then close the lid. And because you didn't move anything, it's going to be right in the same spot. So there you go. There's our sentiment done for the outside of the card. Now I'm just going to get my chamois that I'm going to use, and I'm going to clean this off so that I can take it off and go on with the next one. Okay, we're done with this piece. So let's go to the inside piece. And I'm just going to put this in here like this. Okay, and let's go back to the card. We're going to be stamping this blotch looking thing and a sentiment. So on your stamp set, remember I said there was one that was more of a solid set of images. We're going to use this right here, this blotch looking thing. That's what's going to go on the inside of our card. So I'm going to just place this, and I want it about in the center. I'm going to make sure that's straight. It's a little bit crooked, okay. And there again, that's what's nice about the Stamparatus, because it allows you to get things straighter than maybe you would if you tried to do them on your own. So I like it about there. Maybe just a little bit higher. How about that? Okay, so then I'm just going to close the door to pick up my stamp. And then I'm going to come in with the Blushing Bride ink. And I'm just going to stamp this up. And I'm just going to close the lid. Now it looks a little distorted, but as that dries, it'll look much different. So I'm cool with that. Again, I'm going to wipe off my stamp so I can take it off because we're done with this stamp. And I'm going to put that back on our sheet. And the next thing we're going to need is The World is a Better Place. The World is Better Because of You, and that's on the outline sheet. So we're going to get that. And I wanted to stamp that right across the little blotch that we just did. So I'm going to put that down. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to come in with the black Memento ink. I'm just going to add ink to the stamp. And we're going to close that on there. And there we have our stamped sentiment on the inside. So again, I'm going to clean this off. And if you get ink on your Stamparatus, you can just wipe that off as well. And so we're done with this. So I'm going to put this back on our sheet. Like so. And if the back of your stamps on the polymer, if they start not being as sticky, you can take like a alcohol prep wipe. They come in the little individual packets that you open up. Let me see, I don't think I have one close by to show you. Let me look here. Here's the pack where the empty pack where I used one earlier, a sterile alcohol prep pad. You can use those and you can wipe the back of these off and let them dry. It takes just a few seconds to air dry, and that will help them to become sticky again to stick back on your sheet. So just a little tip for that. Okay, so we're done with this. Now we're going to need that scrap of white that I mentioned. And this piece, we don't have to worry so much about getting it straight because this is going to be something that we die cut. So it really doesn't matter how straight it is on that sheet because we're going to die cut it off anyway. So we're going to pull in off of the outline. Remember I said one of these sheets is mostly more outlined, one's more solid. We want the outline of our flower, our hydrangea. And we're just going to put this down, and it really doesn't matter how you lay it on here as long as you're getting the whole flower on here, because we're just going to stamp it and then we're going to be die cutting it. So it really doesn't matter how you place it. Okay, so we want to do this the same way. We're going to shut the lid and get it to hold our stamp. And we're going to come in with the black Memento ink. We're just going to stamp that up. I hope everybody's been enjoying these Monday night Stampin' Shares. I have definitely been enjoying them. Okay, we're just going to press that down. And see how I need more ink? So that's easy to do when you're using the Stamparatus. If you would stamp that with an individual stamp, that'd be awful hard because you could never get it in the exact same place. But because I use the Stamparatus, it is no problem. We can just fix that right up. So I'm inking it up again, and I'm going to press that down again, trying to press mainly in the spots where it didn't stamp. And there we have our stamp, just like that. It fixed it. So that was a real good way to show the benefits of the Stamparatus. If you don't have one of these, go to my store, karensmith.stampinup.net, and you can order them there. And they really are just a wonderful tool for your stamping. So I'm going to put this, had one fall off there. I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to put this back on my sheet. And I'm going to come in with the solids. And we're going to start with the big hydrangea. And we're going to place this. This is not made to be exact to the shape of the outline. So if you're looking to try to make it exact, it will not be exact. It's going to come around it a little, you know, it's going to be on the outside of it. So don't think that it has to cover it exactly. I just move it so that it's covering the whole flower. I think I like it like that. And we're going to be die cutting it anyway. So definitely keep that in mind. And we're going to be covering it with the die cut anyway. So you can just play with it, turn it, see how you want it. I think I like it like that. I think that gives me the best coverage. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to shut the lid. I'm going to pull this up. And because that buckled a little bit, I want to make sure that this is going to go where I want it to. I'm going to move these magnets a little bit just to make sure. And I'm just going to hold that over it. Yeah, it may have moved just a little bit, so I'm going to reposition. I'm going to close this back again and pull up. Now I'm going to come back with the Blushing Bride again. And I just want I really don't want, this isn't really going to show at all. It's just to have a little color so that if it does peek through what we're going to do with the die cut, we have some color. So, and I'm going to go just a little bit more in the one area. Okay, I like that better. And I'm going to clean this stamp. Don't be afraid to type in some comments. It doesn't even have to necessarily be a question. If you just want to make a comment, that's cool too. Always open to that. Okay, so then now we want to come in with the more solid stem and leaf. And we're going to line that up and basically go for your stem first. Line your stem up first. Again, this image is bigger than the leaves, so it's going to be a little bit bigger than your leaves. So keep that in mind. Okay, then I'm going to come in with some garden green. Just going to open that up. We're going to ink that up. Now this will show, the leaf part will show. So I'm just going to press that down. Okay, we're ready to pull that out. And again, I'm going to clean my stamp off so that we can put this back on our sheet. And we're done with our stamping, so I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. And here's my piece of plastic that goes on it. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Now we need to die cut it. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my die cut machine. Now, if you got the kit, I went ahead and die cut this flower for you, so you would be stamping on the die cut piece, because I didn't know of those that got the kit how many people had a die cut machine or how many ordered the die cut. So I went ahead and sent you the die cut piece. So all you need to do is stamp it on that piece. So you won't have this step of actually doing a die cut. You'll just be stamping on the piece. Okay? So I am going to go ahead and die cut this. And I don't know how much of this you'll see on the camera. You'll probably see it coming through. Okay. Let me take that off. I'm just going to put this back in my container here. I'm going to bring in my other pieces so I have everything close. Now we want to go to this die cut flower piece. We're going to work with it next. And you can see that there are these little die cut imprints. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. Stampin' Up! Sells these. On one end you have this pointy, piercy end. On the other end, this is really cool. This has like a little sticky goo, for lack of a better word, on the end. So you could pick up little sequins or little pieces. The little pink flowers that we're going to be putting on later, you can pick those up real easy with that end because it's sticky on the end. So definitely a worthwhile investment. So I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. You can use anything that would poke through these, and we're going to turn it over to the back. And the first thing you're going to do is just poke out the little circles. They will poke completely out. So you just want to poke all the circles out. Okay. All right. Now, the next part is where some creativity comes in. We are going to poke from the back. We are going to poke the little flower petals to the front. You can make these as pronounced or as just slight as you want. That's where each card is individual. The more pronounced they are, the more you're going to see the stamping underneath. So we're just going to go around and we're going to push all these in, pressing from the back towards the front. And it really doesn't take long. If you're doing this while you're watching TV or something, it really doesn't take very long to just come through here and do these. So if you wanted to do punch part of them through but not all of them, you could definitely do that. So it's just however you want your finished project to look. Okay? So this is where the creativity, this is where it's individualized because you get to choose the look that you want. I'm just going to keep pressing these to the front. It's going to give our flowers some dimension. Last week when we made our card, we just did stamping. We really didn't do any of the die cutting. So this week we're focusing more on the die cut flower. And then next week we're going to have a fun fold. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Later tonight, I hope to have posted the projects that we'll be doing for June. You'll still have time to order what you would need for those. I just hadn't got them posted yet, but that is my plan after the video tonight, is that I'm going to get those posted. So be sure to check my Facebook page and check out the June projects. I think they're really cool. Okay, so then when you turn it over to the other side, they're all sticking up, and you can go back and you can lift them as much as you want to lift them. Give them some extra. I want mine lifted quite a bit. So I'm just going to come in, now that I've got them punched towards the front, I'm just going to come in and help them out a little bit. And you could even use your fingers to press them forward. Just going to keep trying to get these forward here. I like the dimensional look to it as you press them forward more. If you don't like that look, you can just do them a little. And you don't have to push them forward at all. It still has a different look than a stamped flower, even if you leave them flat. So all kinds of options for you. Okay, I'm going to go with that. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to start assembling. So let's go ahead, bring in our card base, and we're going to go ahead and put the inside piece in. So I'm just going to get some Stampin' Seal, and I'm just going to put adhesive on the back of this. And we're just going to line this up and press it down. We'll add the flowers in a moment. I want to get the other parts put on before we add the flowers. So we're going to go ahead and turn it over, and we're going to put the Designer Series paper on the front. Okay. And the same thing, we're just going to line it up. Just like that. And then we are going to, our piece with our sentiment on it is going to be flat on the front. So I'm just going to try to center that. We're going to go ahead and put some Stampin' Seal on the back of it. Just like that. And then our flower, we are going to pop up. So we're just going to, and I'm going to put the piece that we just worked on, I'm going to put that on last, because if I put that on now and then turn this over and put my dimensionals on it, there's a chance I could flatten what I just spent time doing. So I'm going to put that on after I get my flower on the card. So we're just going to take some dimensionals and put them on our flower. the backing. And we're just going to lay this okay. And then I'm going to come in, and what I did is I used the fine tip glue pen to put this die cut piece on. So I just turned it over to the back, and I just get my glue off the end here. All right. And I just came in and put some little glue just around in different spots to hold it down. Just coming in here and some of the spots, definitely around the edges. Won't take a whole lot, but you don't want to glue down the pieces that you just fluffed up. Make sure that you don't get glue on those. Okay, I think I about got it. A little more right there probably. The big thing is the edges. And then as long as you got a little bit in the middle, you'll be all right. Okay. And then I'm going to close this back up. Okay, and then we're just going to add this. And you can turn it, and that should match up pretty good. I need a little more glue on there. I think what I'm going to do is just put see if that'll hold it, because you won't see it. Okay. Let that dry. Just take a few seconds for it to dry. And then we're going to go back to the inside while that's drying. And we're going to take our little flowers. I used 3 of them. And I've just got the back sides here. Oh no. Let me get a towel. That came out in a big glob. So I'm just going to glob some of that. I'm going to wipe some of that off. I guess that's a better word. We're just going to put a little bit of the glue on there. And I'm going to come back in with this Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to get them by the petals. And you can just put them around wherever you want them. There's no exact placement. Okay. That one, I'm going to get a different one. I have spares over here. I don't like the way that one was, so I'm going to bring in a new one. And we'll come over to this. And I'm going to bring in, this is the gems that came with the, if you ordered the Hydrangea Hill Suite, this was the gems that came with it. You can order these separately if you want, but we're going to use 3 of those. And we're going to use the pink ones. And we're just going to spread those out. Like so. And then we're ready to fold our card over. And this could be a thank you card. It could be a thinking of you card. We're just going to crease that. I'm going to turn it over and come in with my bone folder. And there we have it. That's simple, and we're done. This is the one we made tonight. This is the one that was the Rococo Rose that was that I made beforehand. There you have it. I hope you enjoyed this tonight. I hope you'll join me next week when we're going to make this fun fold using the same suite of products. Definitely be a fun time making that. We're going to feature blues. Tonight we featured pinks. Last week we featured purples. Next week will be blues. So I hope you'll join me for this Double Z fun fold, and I hope you'll craft with me again soon.